I had all I could stand. I can't stand no more. I watched 2 hours and 10 minutes of this program. That's enough. We was getting into those collision hours, and no, afraid not. Not gonna end up watching the whole show. Sorry about that. I know Tony Khan said this has been the best year of AEW television in the history of AEW television. These have been the greatest shows, and these are the greatest wrestlers, but I'm just not interested. You know, this is an ice cream thing. To go back to the old Triple H. I mean, what do you like? You like chocolate? Like Neapolitan? You like strawberry? You like Superman? For me, this ain't my flavor of ice cream. Plus, I don't even care about what direction this stuff is going in. So to me, it don't matter. I did want to see Mercedes Moné versus Red Velvet. I guess I'll catch highlights or something like that. I am not sitting through this entire show to watch it, though. So we're going to go through the show as I watched it, which was up until Shitbata and Hangman. So Bobby Lashley defeats Ricochet for the number one spot at the Full Gear Gauntlet. Okay, the match was short. It was shorter than I thought it would be, to be quite honest. Ricochet is kind of a jabroni, whatever. He was doing a whole bunch of yapping to start the match, and what made it worse is that he did all this yapping, and I didn't see any benefit to it. I didn't see it going anywhere. I don't think it was funny. I don't think he had a story to tell. There was just nothing there. He was just yapping. Just talking. I guess the point was to waste everybody's time so Lashley can get a big pop when he grabbed him. But it would have been great to just have Lashley grab him anyway. That was a complete waste of everybody's time and effort. To continue the Full Gear Gauntlet, Shelton Benjamin defeated Speedball Mike Bailey to win the number 2 spot in the Full Gear tournament. They botched the finish here. Speedball Mike Bailey probably got knocked unconscious from a German suplex where he got his brain rattled a little bit. And his shoulder, the referee said his shoulder was up. I saw his shoulder up, but I think his shoulder was still on the mat. He could have counted 3. But the referee decided to call it that his shoulder was up, that he kicked out. So they just ran the finish again. And Shelton won with a super kick. Boy, oh boy. Look, he gave Speedball quite a bit of this match. With him flying all over the place. He kicked Shelton Benjamin 1,000 times in the arms and chest and such. Gotta give Shelton Benjamin credit for even going through that when probably wasn't even necessary, wasn't even needed. But hey, he did his best. Not going to be mad at the guy for trying. So the Full Gear match is going to be Shelton Benjamin versus Bobby Lashley to start the match. That ought to be interesting. Not interesting enough to get me to sit and watch this show live. I've decided I'm going to go to JCW Lunacy. I said I was right around the corner from my house. I didn't know that Full Gear was the same night. I didn't know that. So now that I know, I'm going to go to JCW and I'm going to watch Full Gear probably the next morning. It shouldn't affect when the review comes out, but it will affect my watching of the show, which means I'll probably have to skip through some of these matches instead of watching the show live. So that ought to be interesting. In any event, look, the national championship situation apparently is all cleared up because now Tony Khan realizes that the NWA's championship really exists and that some human meatball by the name of Mike Mondo, who obviously is Mikey from the Spirit Squad, is the champion. And so now it's like, oh yeah, all the stuff we said about the NWA championship on TBS, forget about it. Just forget about it. We about to do the Men in Black. Flash, newsflash, you didn't see it. It didn't happen, right? Jeez Louise. Anyway, Lashley versus Shelton Benjamin. I don't expect them to go too hard on each other. They'll probably just do some grappling or do some respectful stuff as they prepare to beat up everybody else who comes out. That's going to be an interesting thing. Is you're going to have two of the baddest dudes in the company start the match. Who the hell is going to come in at number 3 to separate these two? Ought to be interesting to find out Sunday at about 11 o'clock or so. The second match on the show, Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks defeat Scorpio Sky and Top Flight. You heard that correctly. Scorpio Sky is employed. He still works here. He's been here for 6 years? 6 years, and he's been off TV for like 2 of those years so far. I don't see the purpose of him being here. What does he still work here for? He is the Apollo Crews of AEW. He just refuses to go away. He never goes away. I'm not mad at him though. Look, get the paper as long as you can. Make the most of it. But when Frankie Kazarian left and Christopher Daniels retired, I think that was pretty much the writing on the wall when it comes to Scorpio Sky, you know. And I think he's like a singles champ, wasn't he? Like he's like 2-time TBS champ or something like that. Yeah, buddy, that was it. That whole tag team with Ethan Page, ooh, that was trouble. That was not good. And I liked Dan Lambert, but the three of them together didn't fit. But now Scorpio Sky is, I don't know, the mentor of Top Flight. Is that the storyline here? This feels like some Ring of Honor stuff that I'm supposed to know, but I don't. Honestly, I don't know. I can't understand why these guys are around. I don't want to bully him too much, but this bears mentioning that Darius Martin is out of shape. And he's too young to be washed up. So Darius Martin needs to get in the gym. His brother needs to get in the gym too because he's pale and he has nobody whatsoever. But Darius Martin, his tights didn't even fit. Enough's enough. He's out of shape. I know that they've had a lot of injuries. They might just be coming off injury and he needs to get himself back together. But I would not have put Darius Martin on TV if that's the shape he was going to be in. Sorry. Dante is fine and he looked the same. I don't know how Dante still looks 19 and he's been in AEW for 6 years or whatever. He was one of those guys, a lot like Commander and Masquerita Dorada is another one that got him wrestling on this show, where they get him real young and they love all the high flying stuff that they could do, but they never teach him anything else. So they never grow. They never teach these guys anything else. You would think you'd had a prime potential candidate with Dante Martin to take something that, okay, this guy's got incredible physical skills. Let's teach him some other things. You know, how to give him a look. His look is the same. He's benefited 0 bits being in AEW. His promos aren't better than they were before. His mat wrestling isn't better than... He's still a phenomenal athlete. I mean, when they did the Doomsday device, I think it was like a Salito del Sol or like a Blockbuster or something like that. Like, that was tremendous. But it would have been nice if there was some other level to Dante Martin. You know? It's like, yeah, we're going to put him out there to do popcorn shit. Okay, great. But what's the next gear? There is no next gear. So if his out-of-shape brother wasn't there, he'd just be working the same kind of matches with a different partner. And that sucks because this guy has, again, been in this company for so long. You would think that there would be some kind of forward motion for him. But Top Flight, a lot like, what's the other guys? Private Party. They getting paid in AEW, and I don't blame them for sticking around. But you really need to get somewhere where they can actually help you further your career. You're wasting a lot of your... It's like being in a relationship, you know, if you're a young woman, I guess, and you're just basically in a situationship with a guy for a really long time, and it's going nowhere fast. That's what this is, both for Private Party and for Top Flight. They're in this situation because the Young Bucks like having matches with them. They're not there to do anything else. They're there to pop the Young Bucks. Let's do some fun stuff and do some flips and everything. That's it. That's unfortunate because in order for these guys to really make some money in this business and really become big stars and everything, they're going to need a second gear. They're going to need to be able to do more than just jump around. And Darius is going to have to get in shape. You have to stay in shape. And these injuries and stuff is not going to help the matters at all. Josh Alexander tapped out. I think it was Dante Martin. Who cares? Anyway, the story going into this thing was that Don Callis expected the Young Bucks to accept his invitation to the Don Callis family after this match. They hesitated, so Don Callis started making threats. Well, they were vague threats, very mafia-like tactics about, the last time the guys turned me down, you know what happened to them. It's dangerous being in this company by yourself. And then out of nowhere, here comes Kenny Omega with a chair to save Dante Martin, who was getting choked out or submitted or whatever. It was some weird stuff going on. Once Omega came out there was a short brawl, and then Don Callis demanded the Young Bucks do the VIP trigger or whatever the fuck they called it to Kenny Omega, and they hesitated on purpose, just slowed everything down. And then the Jurassic Express came out there and saved Kenny Omega. There was a very bad Kenny Omega promo after this. I want to pretend I didn't see it. I think we all should just pretend we didn't see it. He can't talk. We know that. It was more about family cannot be sold. You guys are selling out. You're like he's Ted DiBiase or something like that. Man, get out of here. This Don Callis Kenny Omega thing has been going on for over a year. Think of, because Omega's been in and out, right? So that means this Don Callis Kenny Omega thing has been going on for probably 2 years. I'm pretty sure it was 2023 when Don Callis turned on Kenny Omega. I'm pretty sure it was. And Omega was out for a full year following his diverticulitis thing. He was out for at least a year. And then he was out for a long time in between his matches with Okada. And this thing has been going on and on and on to the point where I don't care anymore. Both Triple H and Tony Khan are booking the exact same way. They book a storyline to go on for so long that you forget why the storyline even exists in the first place. I mean, it's like if you're sitting down writing a story and you get so into the story that you forget what the purpose of the story was. And that's when a good editor would come in and say, hey, look, here's the point of the story. Everything that has nothing to do with the story needs to be trimmed out, and let's get here. Let's get to this point. The point of the story was that Kenny Omega wanted to get back at Don Callis. Somehow, this has taken over a year. He's going to fight every single member of the Don Callis family, and the Don Callis family is an ever-growing organization. That started out with just Takeshita and Don Callis. Now it features 8 other people. So he's going to be fighting Don Callis until the end of time. This is like some G.I. Joe versus Cobra Commander shit. This is nonsense, bro. It's nonsense. This has been going on for too long. He needs to get an end to this so Omega can do stuff with other people. Clearly, they're going to turn the Young Bucks at Full Gear. I don't think anybody's going to give a shit, but they're going to do it anyway. Okay, whatever. Do your best. Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli defeated Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy. I couldn't care less about a match than this. Obviously, the other members of the Death Riders were a distraction, which led to Orange Cassidy getting choked out. Kyle O'Reilly, with his big brass balls, came out and snatched up Moxley and made him tap out. Then Yuta and Daniel Garcia got to kicking on Kyle O'Reilly, but he was in a trance, I guess, and he was no-selling the kicks. Like, he was being stomped out, and he was no-selling these stomps. I'm looking like, bro, what in the hell is afoot here? What is this? But apparently he's got a special ability where he doesn't feel any pain. He can be stomped and kicked and no pain. Whatever. Anyway, eventually Moxley, who was tapping out to Kyle O'Reilly, he got free. And then he ended up running away. And this led to Kyle O'Reilly making a challenge for the match to be no holds barred at Full Gear. Okie dokie. Look, I don't really care about this. This push of Kyle O'Reilly, to me, it's not working. It seems like, look, I get that Tony Khan is looking at these guys and he likes them as a talent, and that's fine. But look at the state of Kyle O'Reilly. Everything is hanging off of him. His chest and everything sagging. His face is saggy. I don't get this. Like this, he looks sick. He looks like he's got leukemia or something like that. I don't know if maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is to represent the leukemia patients. You know, the sickle cell anemia patients. I don't know. Maybe that's the point. But for everybody else who is looking at, you know, this is pro wrestling, nobody has any fucking muscles. You know, Roderick Strong does, but he has no charisma. He's the only one that goes to the gym in this match. Moxley kind of does. But he's kind of like a naturally, you know, bulky frame for like the five or 6 years ever since he bulked up. And what was that, 2020 he bulked up? Ever since he bulked up, he's kind of been that way. He ain't never been shredded. But now, you know, he lumbers and all that kind of stuff now. But everybody else, well, Claudio obviously is a gym machine. But, you know, guys like Kyle O'Reilly is like he's never been on the inside of a gym. Ever in his life. And it's not just him. There's some Speedball Mike Bailey. Like, look at this. Look at the state of his physical body. It's not just bad that he's small, but he's small with zero muscle definition. It's consistent up and down the AEW roster where these guys do not look like athletes. They look like a hodgepodge of dudes you picked up at the YMCA. I don't know why you'd be picking people up at the YMCA, but you probably would want to, especially if you like they-thems. Tag team match for the women's tag team tournament. The Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm defeated Alex Windsor and Riho. I'm not going to pretend I cared about this. I couldn't have gave a shit less. Timeless Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, their tag team name is the Timeless Love Bomb. All right. I ain't mad at that. Timeless Love Bomb. Okay. Sure. Alex Windsor was on my television. I can't believe it. They dared bring Alex Windsor and Riho on television. The thing that offended me is how much time this was given. This was given a whole lot of time. Way too much. This was burdensome. Also, I thought the women's championship match was going to be at Full Gear. The women's tag team championship match. Apparently not. Apparently not. I don't know when they're going to crown these women's tag team champions, and now I don't care. I thought Full Gear was the finals. It's not. Nowhere near the finals. In fact, they're going to do something stupid for the show. I'm going to have to talk about that in a second because I got to do a preview of the show. So we'll go through it then, but this was dumb. Next, Shibata fought Hangman. This was boring. Shitbata is boring. I don't give a damn how many of you Japanophobes, you dudes who love everybody from Japan. This Shitbata guy sucks. All right, and Hangman sucks too. Hangman won because he's the world champion. Then he yelled something at Samoa Joe about, you know, last time he was in a steel cage with somebody. He kind of gave him a reminder and said, I'll do it again if I gotta. If Samoa Joe don't murder this guy and take his skin, turn it into leather, and re-leather the championship belt with Hangman Page's skin, we're doing it wrong. We need to do something with this fairy. He's got to go. He sucks. One of the more offensive things that I saw, and I paid it no attention because it's just begging for a reaction. It's one of those clickbait things. But Brian Alvarez said that Hangman Page reminds him of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He did say that. So here's exactly what he said, for those of you who think I'm lying. Austin was the top star in this business. He didn't have to work as hard as he did, but he went out and worked his ass off for those main events. He never half-assed it, no matter how hurt or beat up he was. Adam's not at that level, but he's the top guy and he's out there killing himself. It sounds like he realized it mid-sentence, like they're going to eat me alive if I say this. So maybe if I say he's not at that level. No, you should not be comparing Stone Cold Steve Austin to Hangman Page, not even in work ethic, because Hangman doesn't work nearly as much as Stone Cold Steve Austin did. Keep Stone Cold Steve Austin's name away from the Hang person. All right, just no. It's not the same. He is not the same as this curly-haired fuck. Okay, just leave it alone. Don't do that to Hangman. I already don't like him. All right, but Brian Alvarez is trying very hard to put this guy over. Get bent. All right, you can start using Bart Simpson. Eat my shorts. Okay, you want to do that? Eat my fucking shorts. Embarrassing. Down bad. Mark Briscoe cut a promo too. You know, it would have been nice if this promo would have been better if Mark Briscoe was serious, but it was about family. And Kyle, they did one of those agreements to no contact and no violence or whatever. So Kyle Fletcher starts talking about forcing Mark Briscoe to join a real family in the Don Callis family after he wins. And Mark Briscoe gives the rundown about, you know, how he fights with his real family. He fought alongside his real family. He fought alongside his road family at Blood and Guts. And he's going to make his road family and his real family proud. And then he got attacked by Okada and Hechicero. And if he was serious and spitting some fire, this would have been fine. I think that Mark Briscoe would have been so much better if he was, you know, gritting his teeth, angry, but he was still cousin Mark, you know. And maybe that's the character everybody likes, but I would have liked for him to be a little bit more serious here. But that's it for the totality of Dynamite, at least for the first 2 hours of that show. We're definitely going to be getting into, let's get into Full Gear. At this point in time, we're going to get into the matches, and let's see how this turns out for us. AEW Full Gear, November 22nd, Prudential Center, Newark, New Jersey. Right now, as of 5 days ago, which would be the 14th of November, they have distributed 8,158 tickets, and they have a current setup of 8,968, which means that if nothing has changed, they're going to do quite a bit of the building that they got set up. I would think they're going to do about 10,000 tickets. I know that there are 2,000 off, but there's always a strong walk up, especially when those ticket prices come down. So they'll probably do about 10,000 seats for this joint, which is not bad, you know, compared to their television tapings, which are utterly pathetic. 10,000 for the pay-per-views just goes to show that the AEW fans are showing up for the pay-per-views, if nothing else. All right, Tony Khan can lie about the gaps between, you know, SmackDown and Dynamite in terms of TV ratings. He can tell that lie if he wants. The real issue has been pay-per-view. The AEW fans will turn up for the pay-per-views. They will not turn up for Dynamite. And heavens to Betsy, don't even ask them to show up for Collision. But there's 10 matches set up for this thing. I don't know why. Why there are 10 matches set up for this card. Oh my Lord, have mercy. 2 of these matches seem to be pre-show matches. One, Boom and Doom. Who is Boom and Doom? Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall versus RPG Vice, Rocky Romero, and Trent Barretta. Why do these people exist? What are these people doing? You need to fire all 4 of these people into the fucking sun. I don't even pretend to care about that. Next is Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. That's still a thing. They're not calling themselves the Acclaimed, but they're clearly the Acclaimed. Why? Versus the Bang Bang Gang, Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson. I guess only one of the Gun Boys can wrestle. Versus Big Bill and Brian Keith. Versus the Outrunners. A $200,000 Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. The winners will receive a $200,000 cash prize. I don't care about this. Nobody cares about this. Let's skip that too. Where's Ace Austin? I haven't seen him on Dynamite since he signed him. I know he wrestled Kyle Fletcher on Collision. What was that, a couple of months ago? But you think that this guy that they signed, he's a young guy too. I think he's probably just a shade under 30. Probably a couple of years off 30. Maybe 30 on the dot. And a very talented guy. And they're not even putting him on Dynamite at all. I mean, heavens to Betsy. Where the hell is he? What is he doing? Oh, I think he was with... They put him in that Bullet Club bullshit, right? They put him with the Gun Boys. Oh, he's going nowhere fast. I like the Gun Boys, but shit, they stuck on Collision, man. All these people are dead. They all dead, man. Forget it. Match the first for the official pay-per-view. Women's World Title, Mercedes Moné versus Kristen Statlander. All right, and this is a good one because money would say that Mercedes Moné is going to win the match and win her 15th title or whatever the hell it is, right? But something also says that she lost last time to Toni Storm. And it solidified Toni Storm as a main event talent. Even though she was a main event talent before then, it kind of put the stamp of approval on Toni Storm. Quite possibly could do the same thing here. The fact that Mercedes is wrestling on Collision doesn't imbue me with any sort of faith. The fact that this storyline has just been they've attacked each other and then Chris Statlander put her through a table during the Blood and Guts match that neither one of them should have been in. But I don't know. I don't think they had a promo segment against each other or anything like that to get this thing all sorted out. This is a toss-up, you know. If it were me, I probably would have Statlander win. You know, because I like Statlander, personally. I think she fits what a world champion should be in AEW. She's very good in the ring. She's not much for talking, but at the same time, they don't ask her to talk a lot. I think they missed the boat by not doing Statlander versus Marina Shafir. Because the storyline seemed to be there with a lot of the crowd behind Statlander standing up to the Death Riders. To me, that would have been better. And I don't like Marina Shafir at all. I think Marina Shafir is the shits. Everybody knows this. But I'm talking about from a storyline perspective. Having Marina Shafir challenge for the women's world title against Chris Statlander, who they tried to recruit, would have been better storytelling than immediately pivoting Statlander into Mercedes Moné's position. Now, obviously, if you were going to go to the bets, the gambling, you'd probably bet on Mercedes. If I had to put money on it, I would say Mercedes, but I'm not betting, so I'm going to go with Chris Statlander. I think Statlander is going to win. Match the second, Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa Joe for the AEW Men's Championship. Oh boy. Joe's not winning. Okay, and that's the unfortunate piece of business here, is that no matter how much we dislike this twink Adam Page, he's not going anywhere. We might as well just hit ourselves in the balls with a dumbbell. It's over with. I just hope that we don't have to deal with Samoa Joe being humiliated and like he did to Swerve Strickland, where he started drinking his blood and stabbing him in the mouth with needles. I think Joe would have better instincts and better sense than that. And he's not going to let Hangman Page do like mouth surgery on him. But he likely will put the kid over because Joe is a very professional guy. It sucks though, because Joe, even at his advanced age, is much better a pro wrestler and a personality than Hangman Adam Page. I mean, Hangman sucks. He sucks the hard way. Tag team championship match: Bandito and Brody King, the piss drinker, versus Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, FTR. Now, this has been based off of mostly FTR trolling Brodito, mostly trolling Bandito. Trying to, I don't know, what they try to do something with his abuela. I don't know what's going on with that. And they attacked Ricky Steamboat, which was not cool. That's not cool for you to attack Ricky Steamboat. Everybody loves Ricky Steamboat. But FTR has been floating for the past 2 years, 3 years, ever since the Pinnacle fell apart. They haven't had a real purpose. And this doesn't seem like people with purpose to me. They're probably just going to put over Brodito and call it a day. So I'm going to go with Brodito wins. The $1 million trios match. Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. So the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander didn't even get along in their 6-man tag on Dynamite, which of course leads to they're obviously going to lose the $1 million, and then Don Callis is going to be frustrated, and then the Young Bucks are going to get jumped and beat up, and then Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express are going to save them, and we're going to have a complete reunion of the Elite minus Hangman Page. And I don't think it's going to move the needle, not one bit. Not one bit. And it's very unfortunate. Actually, no, it's not, because it's been this way for 5 years, so nobody should be surprised. And Kenny Omega not wrestling or doing anything and magically getting a pay-per-view spot, I love it. Very Brock Lesnar review, Kenny Omega. Casino Gauntlet match for the inaugural AEW National Championship. The first two competitors will be Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. But Ricochet, Kevin Knight, Speedball, Mike Bailey are announced entrants. There's going to be some surprises as well. If for my money, Lashley should win your national championship first. Again, I think the only reason this belt exists is because AEW is too cowardly to take the belt off of Okada, and they're too cowardly to take the belt off of Kyle Fletcher. So now they're going to create a new championship so they won't have to beat anybody that they actually like. And look, whatever. If you built up people and you actually knew how to sustain pushes and you knew how to beat people without killing the character and killing their storyline or whatever, you wouldn't have these problems. A strong character can take a loss and keep going and actually integrate that into making them more interesting. If you book people that can never lose, that's not good booking. Good booking is how do you beat a guy and he maintains his credibility and people will still pay to see him and still believe in him. That's good booking. But I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley wins the national championship. Speaking of Kyle Fletcher, Mark Briscoe versus Kyle Fletcher for the TNT championship. If Briscoe loses, he will be forced to join the Don Callis family. Interesting stipulation here. I think they put that stipulation because Mark Briscoe is going to win. He needs to win. He should win. I'm going to go with Mark Briscoe, even though 99.9% sure Kyle Fletcher is going to win. If I had to bet my own money on this, Kyle Fletcher would win. And I would bet on that. But since I'm playing with house money, I'm playing with Monopoly money, I'm going to go ahead and guess Mark Briscoe. Singles match, Darby Allin versus Pac. This will be straight up man-to-man because Pac doesn't think Darby Allin can compete with him in legitimate competition without bells and whistles. I'm pretty sure they've done this match before and Darby Allin won, but okay. I like Pac. He's not around enough. He's constantly hurt. But this is the push for Darby. Darby's going to be the guy going forward. So they're going to have Darby win this match. But this ought to be one of the better matches on the show. Ought to be one of the more fun matches to watch on the program. And this thing looks like it was thrown together at the last minute. The women's 4 corners match. What is this now? The winning team chooses the stipulation for their semi-final match in the Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament. The Babes of Wrath, which is Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, versus the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, versus Timeless Love Bomb, Mina Shirakawa and Timeless Toni Storm, versus Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne. Alright. I guess so. So there's that. I'm guessing Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir won their match. Because why else would they be featured in this, right? So I guess that's a spoiler, but not that I give a shit. Look, who cares? What do you need a stipulation for? It's a tournament. Is the semifinals or whatever they're going to have here going to be special rules? Like, I don't get this. What's the point of this? Well, what am I talking about? The point is to waste everybody's time and to shove more people onto the card for no good reason. Again, you could look at this card and say, how many of these matches we can get rid of? We can get rid of Brodito and Cash Wheeler, and we can get rid of that. Brodito versus FTR, you can probably put that on TV. The $1 million 6-man tag, you put that on TV. The 2 pre-show matches are worthless, but you got to have pre-show stuff, so maybe that's the point of that. And you don't really need this women's 4 corners thing, because you don't need to make stipulations for tournament matches. They're in a tournament. Why did it need to be special rules? It's goofy, man. If you must have a match, this should be the pre-show match. But they got 10 matches listed. Quite a few of these are pointless. All right, I wasted enough time. Mercedes beat Red Velvet, obviously. The finish was a lung blower from the second rope. I saw the highlight on social media. I may just get used to doing these highlights, brother, because there didn't look like a match I needed to see. But I kind of did want to see. I want to see if Red Velvet had gotten any better. I'm sorry. You know, I remember when Red Velvet was the absolute shits. That's when she was like 2019, 2020. Red Velvet was one of the funniest wrestlers in AEW because she was always ruining everything. And then they put her in the Forever feud with Jade Cargill, and she was still consistently very funny. But I heard that she had gotten better, and I wanted to see if she actually improved. But they decided to put the match on a 3-hour Dynamite, which was a joke, because that last hour was just Collision bullshit. But yeah, so there's that. There will be a Ring of Honor Final Battle show in December. It's actually in Columbus in a couple of weeks on December the 5th. So it would make sense that might be why they decided to put that championship on Mercedes, because I'm looking at the card right now and it is not good. Right now, the main event is Athena or Harley Cameron versus somebody for the women's title. Lee Moriarty versus Commander for the ROH Pure Championship. There's going to be the finals of the women's Pure title and the AEW National Championship. So they're not even going to have Mercedes on this card, nor whomever. Oh yeah, it'd be Bandito, who's the world champion. He's also not on this show. Well, they're probably going to sneak them in at some point. They're still building the card, but it is November the 19th as I record this video. And this pay-per-view is December the 5th. You would think they would have something settled by now. You know, throwing pay-per-views together the week of the show seems very haphazard for somebody who claims that they're taking Ring of Honor very seriously. This is what Tony Khan said during the Ariel Helwani interview. He's taking Ring of Honor very seriously. It has to make sense what kind of TV deal they're going to offer him. Brother, you need to just take whatever they're going to give you. They're going to take you 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Tubi. You need to take it. Because Ring of Honor is in absolute disarray. And then to put the TV championship on Mercedes and then not put her on the poster and then not utilize her to be the draw for this show. If you insist that she's a big draw, I would have booked her for the main event of this show. I don't know who she would be wrestling, but I would book her for the main event of this show. She would be the main draw. Similar to how House of Glory does it. Yes, House of Glory is running in middle schools, but that's not the point. The point is, you're supposed to be bringing this girl in because she's such a big star. You're booking her in main events because she's such a big star. You're booking her for blood and guts matches because she's such a big star. And you put this title on her. You got 14 belts on her because she's supposed to be a big star. But when it comes down to it, you don't book her like a big star. You don't build the show around her. This is a small show, right? This show is in Columbus, Ohio, which is, not the worst town in the world. You could probably do okay in Columbus. But instead of putting a whole lot of effort into Mercedes being featured on Ring of Honor TV, because she's been the TV champion for a while now. She's been the interim TV champion for a while. So instead of building something there so that you can slap her face on the poster and use her as a draw for people who, know who she is to come see the show, even if she has to wrestle some bum, which, is Ring of Honor, so she's obviously going to wrestle a bum. But even if it's a bum you don't put a whole lot of effort into, it would have been something. It would have been, but as of right now, there's nobody featured on the show. Why should anybody buy a ticket to this? And we don't know what the hell's going to happen at the show. It seems like you're running the show for no reason. You're running the show for tradition. Imagine if Vince McMahon had booked the show and less than a month out, there was nothing planned, not even a main event planned. Just think about how people would have lost their minds. If Vince McMahon would have bought Ring of Honor, been 3 weeks out from a pay-per-view, and there was no main event planned at all, period, people would have lost their goddamn minds and said that he was, demented and he didn't care about this brand and they would rather it just be dead. This is how Tony Khan is doing it. He announced a pay-per-view, Final Battle, with no card. Not even a main event. It's ridiculous, man. What he's been doing with Ring of Honor has been abysmal. But he's going to get away with it because he's booking for the sickos, just like you. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you guys later. I will not be around to have dinner, so I won't be cooking for Full Gear, but I may have something the next day. Maybe I'll have like a breakfast for lunch kind of thing. But we'll see. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session. But you got an affection for no progression. Regression. The best don't